Matt Bailey at breakfast.
I wanted to know the weird things you've been asked to do in someone's house. Joanne is on the phone.
I used to have to sometimes go and see clients in their own home. This chap, he insisted that I went up to his sitting room, sitting on his stair lift, and he followed up behind. I mean, what's of it, like 0.001 mile an hour? I've got to know him over about 2 years. Every time he would just nod to the stair lift.
Did he make you come down it as well?
Obviously.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Back Monday morning
From 6.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Walker in lots of space on the near right hand side. Kyle Walker's low cross, it's turned in. Bernardo Silva has scored at the near post, and Newcastle, unhappy that they didn't get a decision at the start of that move, now find themselves behind in the 26th minute, and Bruno in midfield now for Isak to chase, played in behind by Bruno's ball. Isak into the penalty area. Oh, what a goal! What a finish! What a finish! Alexander Isak, that is top quality. The ball played over to Isak, who took it inside and has curled it and lifted it beyond Ortega. Isak levels it up. Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1. It's Gordon away down the left wing into the penalty area. Gordon! Oh! Anthony Gordon! How about that? What a strike! Newcastle have tipped this one on its head in the matter of minutes. Burned down the line to free up Gordon, who cut inside and bent it away from Ortega. It's another brilliant finish, and it's Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1. De Bruyne has got space, he's got plenty of it, edge of the area, drives it into the bottom corner. Dear, oh dear. And Pep Guardiola's substitution has brought Manchester City level in the game. De Bruyne doing the business after coming on. De Bruyne into the area looking for Bob. Oscar Bob is there and has scored. He's taken it around Dubravka, having nipped in behind Trippier, and Newcastle United might just have lost this in added on time. Oh, it's so cruel. Manchester City have hit back from 2-1 down. They lead by 3 goals to 2.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That was the match played here in January. Newcastle leading for a long time, weren't they, John Anderson, in that game? And then it was the introduction of Kevin De Bruyne, who's injured today, not in the squad, that turned it around for Manchester City. A very good goal, and then an inch-perfect pass finished off by Oscar Bob, who's also injured, not available for the away side this afternoon. And that was during Newcastle's injury crisis, and on that occasion they couldn't really turn to the bench to change the game. They had just a lot of young players, inexperienced players, fringe players there, and Manchester City bring on De Bruyne and win it.
Yeah, I mean, he changed the game when he came on, to be fair. Started getting the grip of it in midfield. I mean, his goal is, it's just a great finish. He just sticks it in the goal away to our left hand side, bottom right hand corner there. Just whipped it in there, and then the ball for Oscar Bob's goal. I mean, to be fair, it's a fantastic take. It's a great touch by the young fella. Goes around, gets in behind Trippier, just rolls it into an empty net, and there wasn't enough time for us to get back into it. It was a great game. If we see the same type of spectacle today, I think everybody would leave happy. But we were a different side then. I know we had our injuries, but our intensity levels, our energy levels seemed an awful lot higher than what we've seen so far this season. Where's it gone wrong? Difficult to put your finger on. The manager sees them day in, day out. He says that they train well, that intensity level is still there, but yet when it comes to a Saturday at 3 o'clock or 12:30, whatever it may be, that intensity level just doesn't seem to be there.
Manchester City were actually the last away team to win here. That defeat that we were just listening to was Newcastle's last home defeat. So they've gone 10 matches, all in the Premier League, without losing since January. 6 wins and 4 draws on Tyneside for Newcastle since then. The other statistic about home matches is that they've scored in the last 21 Premier League home matches, every game last season, and obviously the 2 this year, Spurs and Southampton. Do you fancy goals for both teams today? Do you think it will be open because of the way that both will be set up, and how that will
I just think the way Manchester City play,
as well,
Manchester City have always given you chances because they always back themselves to score more than you do. You know, they don't come and sit behind the ball and say, oh well, we'll see how this pans out. They go out to try and win every game that they play, whether it be home or away, which means taking chances, throwing bodies forward. So they will give you opportunities. You know, you look at the games we've played against them, they always give you opportunities. It's all about taking those opportunities. That's why you wish Isak had been fit today, you know, because he gets chances in and around that 18-yard box penalty spot. You fancy him 9 times out of 10 to put the ball in the back of the net. You just think they'll score as well, though, Razor, the way they play going forward. You know, if we leave gaps, if the space between the back 4 and midfield is as big as it has been in so far this season, they've just got too many good players who will take advantage of that. So look, I think there will be goals. I think there'll be goals from both sides. If I'm perfectly honest, I fancy a 2-2 draw, to be quite honest.
Okay. Yeah. They had one of those a few seasons ago against Manchester City, didn't they? When John Joe Shelby got a late equaliser. On the point of goals, then, and what about Anthony Gordon in that centre forward role, and how do you feel it will work for Newcastle? As you've just mentioned, no Isak, missing from the squad today because of his toe injury, and a front 3 of Murphy on the right, Barnes on the left, Gordon moving infield to centre forward, where he has played for Newcastle before, but he's done that when there's been no Isak and no Wilson, and they're in that situation again today. Yeah,
look, he's not an orthodox centre forward. You know, he's not an out-and-out centre forward. We've seen it at Wolves, didn't we, in the second half of Wolves, where he went into that centre forward role. And to be fair to the boy, he ran around, he chased, he put the miles in. Hardly touched the ball, though. Hardly got a kick of the ball in that second half. You know, I don't think I think he'll drift all over the place. You know, it's more like a false 9, isn't it, that he plays. Barnes will play on that left side, Murphy on the right side. The one thing you would say is there's plenty of pace in that front 3. You know, so you can go long, you can go in over the top if Manchester City play a high line. But yeah, look, at the loss of Isak's a blow, I think, because I feel we really could have done with him today. 3 changes from Fulham. Newcastle with an 11 of Pope, Trippier, Schär, Byrne and Hall. Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, Murphy, Barnes and Gordon. Bench is Dubravka, Kraft, Osula, Livramento, Almiron, Kelly, Willock, Longstaff, Alex Murphy. William Osula made his debut at Fulham as a late substitute last weekend. Wouldn't have expected him to start today. I think Tuesday against AFC Wimbledon in the League Cup might well be his night from the off. The Danish under-21 international, signed from Sheffield United in the summer. Manchester City, Ederson, Walker, Akanji, Ruben Dias, Gvardiol, Lewis, Kovacic, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Grealish and Haaland. And the City bench, Ortega, Carson, Stones, Doku, Savinho, Mateus Nunes, Foden and McAtee. There are actually only 8 players named on the Manchester City substitutes bench, whereas Newcastle have the full 9 replacements. We're going to hear more from Eddie Howe in a moment on BBC Radio Newcastle as the warm-ups continue with just over 15 minutes until kick-off. City getting ready for the game at the Leazes end. Erling Haaland just sticking one into the back of the net. Goalkeeper didn't even move. He just stuck a top corner, didn't he?
It makes it look so easy. Newcastle with the substitutes preparing separately to the starting 11 as they always do. The subs sprinting, doing some shuttles between some discs on the pitch, and now the outfield players with some shooting practice of their own for Newcastle. I'm not going to name the players, but unlike Haaland, some of the shots have been a bit wayward, haven't gone into the top corner, they've been missing the target. Hopefully that will be corrected, get them out of their system.
Yeah,
now.
you want to get them out of your system early, you might as well get them out of the way now, but yeah, just watching it hasn't been impressive, has it?
They'll find their range during the warm-up. Pep Guardiola, Manchester City's manager, has been giving some thoughts ahead of today's game on the way Newcastle play, but firstly at his news conference yesterday he wanted to say something about Darren Eales, and we learnt yesterday lunchtime when Newcastle United made the announcement that Darren Eales, who's been chief executive at St James's Park for just over 2 years, is soon to leave his position at the club for health reasons after being diagnosed with a chronic form of blood cancer. We send our very best wishes to Darren Eales for good health, and also to his family. He says he will be living in the northeast. But Pep Guardiola, the Manchester City manager, also wanted to comment on the news about Darren Eales yesterday.
The first I want to say, the first question against Newcastle, Alex said to me that the CEO from Alex announced that they have unfortunately a blood cancer, so we wish him behalf from Man City, all of us, the best of the recovery for him, and I'm pretty sure we'll be the best doctors to take care of him, and the best recovery for him and his family, and hopefully he can go through, because at the end this is the most important thing, be healthy. And Newcastle is always Newcastle, so since a few years, and Eddie was there, and the team is one of the most toughest, strongest, and opponents, especially home and away, but especially away, for the atmosphere in this Marbles Stadium. And yeah, we are going ready to the battle.
Manchester City's Pep Guardiola on Newcastle United. I'm sure you want to echo those good wishes to Darren Eales.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been talking about football and about players and lack of form, and but I think when something like this happens, it puts everything in perspective. At the end of the day, it's only a game. I know it means an awful lot to us all, of course it does, but your health is the most important thing that you've got, and we wish Darren all the very best. I hope that he's able to pull through this, because it's not nice, and our best wishes go out to him and to all his family.
The Pep Guardiola press conference took place after Newcastle made the announcement. Obviously Eddie Howe's news conference yesterday was a few hours before the club made the news public, but I'm sure Eddie Howe will speak about Darren Eales after today's game. Newcastle's players just followed their opponents from Manchester City down the tunnel and back into the changing room. Some of the substitutes are still out on the pitch, but we are heading towards 10 minutes until kick-off here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Sometimes feel for lunchtime matches, Ando, that St James's Park can be almost a little bit sleepy and just not quite at full volume. I mean, the public address system's at full volume at the moment. This is obviously to try and wake us all up, but for a match like this, because it's Manchester City, because of the way it will be approached by City, and because Newcastle need on the pitch to raise their game, hopefully that will just give it the sort of feel that other matches played at other times have, because sometimes it can just be a bit slow and a bit laboured at lunchtime.
I always find that with these early kickoffs, people aren't fully awake. It's the weekend. You're so used to 3 o'clock. Well, the older supporters are so used to 3 o'clock. But I always find that the typically 12:30 kickoffs, the atmosphere is a little bit flat. That's nothing against supporters, it's just no matter where you go, you know, whether it be home, whether it be away, it's just the way that it is. Hopefully we can give them something to cheer about early on, get them out of their slumber, but we know at the start of the season, we've known for a long time that games kick off at 12:30, they kick off at 5:30, you know, all times of the day, all times of the night. It's something that we've become used to, but the early kickoffs, for whatever reason, just seem to be a little bit flat.
Listen to BBC Radio Newcastle, commentary from 12:30. Newcastle United against Manchester City. Then from 3 o'clock today, Watford versus Sunderland in the Championship with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett. And the red and white build-up will get going once we've had the final whistle here at St James. It's probably around 2:30. They were supposed to play Newcastle on Tuesday night in the League Cup, but flooding damaged the pitch at Plough Lane for AFC Wimbledon. There's been a fundraising effort to try and help them get together big money in order to repair the pitch. Newcastle have played a part in that. The match is going to be on Tuesday night coming up, switched here to St James's Park, so they've managed to get the game rearranged for just a week after the original date. But the fact that Wimbledon on Tuesday night was called off meant that Eddie Howe has had more time over the last few days with his players to prepare for the visit of Manchester City.
Of course, it gave us the opportunity to train, which was probably a good thing for us. 2 really good days where we've gone to work with the team and to try and solve some of the issues from the Fulham game. So I look at that as a positive. I think whatever situation you're in, if we had the game, it would have been a positive. If we didn't, we always try and look at the positive outlook on the situation. So pleased with the work that we've done, and we're looking for a better performance.
Wimbledon are coming here now next Tuesday. I'm sure you've seen that a fundraising attempt to help them repair their pitch has passed more than Newcastle United made a significant contribution to that, which I'm sure you'll be really proud about, the fact that they've tried to help. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where the football community does so well for each other, because that support is vital. I mean, you look at the pitch there, it looked in a really bad way. Had no idea until sort of minutes before my press conference of the situation. But yeah, we wish them well, and we hope their pitch gets back working very soon. And how much, given the performance at Fulham and some of the criticism from fans about the way you've played this season, do you feel that in such a big game this weekend that you need to deliver a big performance? I think we always need to deliver. I think there's always that pressure, but yes, I do. I think we have a responsibility to show our true selves, to turn up and give our best. That feeling is always there from me and from everybody. I think the players know, they're very honest with themselves as well. I think they know that last week wasn't good enough. Internal reflection can be really healthy, and sometimes a performance like that can be actually healthy for the long term if you use it in the right way. That's what we're trying to do. And finally, that's something that you have done in the home games against Manchester City, isn't it? Last season in the league with a really stretched squad, you almost got something. You were leading for a long time. You won the League Cup tie at St James's last season, and the 3-3 draw 2 years ago, which was a bit of an epic game, wasn't it? Yeah, I think we've had some really good games against them at home, maybe not so much away. But reflecting on those games that you're talking about, there were sort of nearly moments for us, especially in the last home game, where we felt we did a lot right but didn't get the result, and that's probably testament to them and their quality and their attitude, the way that they fought to the end and scored a goal in the dying seconds. But I think it shows that against that type of quality opposition that Manchester City possess, you have to be good for the whole 95 minutes, however long the game is. You can't switch off for a second. Defensively, we're going to have to be very good in this game.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Eddie Howe has never beaten any Manchester City team in the Premier League, either with Newcastle or with Bournemouth. and the only time in the Premier League that he's avoided defeat against Pep Guardiola was in the 3-3 draw that Newcastle and Manchester City played just over 2 years ago. That was some game. We talked about it there with the manager. 3-1 up, and it just had everything.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the time, it was one of those games you didn't want to end. You know, it was just, as a spectacle, it was brilliant. It had everything. You know, you just so enjoyable. You just wanted to keep watching it because both sides were going for it. Probably the right result in the end with the way that both teams performed. But it was a brilliant game. Really, it was a pleasure to be here that day, to be quite honest.
Speaking of entertaining draws, what did you think of Manchester City last week against Arsenal? 98th minute, the John Stones.
You know what I thought? I thought they were very slow in everything they did. You know, I thought Arsenal broke it down as much as they could. They stopped the flow of the game. They stopped Manchester City getting into a flow. You know, look, the dark arts have been mentioned. We know about them, of course, but they are what they are. Manchester City. They just keep going. They keep playing the same way. You know, you cannot switch off for a second against them, because if you do, they'll punish it. But as I said earlier, though, Rosa, you know, they're the standard. They're the standard everybody wants to get. That they're where everybody wants to be. You know, so that's where we want to be. We want to get there. We've got a little bit to go, but look, in order to get anything today, we're going to have to be at our best.
Referee for this one is the man who did that 3-3 draw between Newcastle and Man City a couple of years ago, Jared Gillett, the Australian, and Newcastle saw him 3 times last season, all in cup ties. So it's his first Premier League appointment involving Newcastle for a while. Darren Cann and Akil Housen are the assistant referees. Robert Jones is on 4th official duties. VAR is Stuart Atwell, and Timothy Wood is the assistant VAR. And now the war flags display for Anthony Gordon, the AG10 in gold, black and white, with a giant surfer banner with Gordon's black and white shirt and his name and number on. And then at the Gallagher end, a couple of lines from the chant for Gordon. Running down the wing makes the Geordie sing. Like his teammates, he's in the tunnel, waiting to be led out by referee Jared Gillett. I'm sure that will mean a lot to him, however the game goes, to walk out and see that. He knows he's loved by the supporters. This is a demonstration of that affection they have for Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, he's still got to go and do it. You know, we've seen it for other players as well. It's a huge appreciation from the supporters. Players, of course, will appreciate it. They'll love seeing it. But he needs to go and do it on the pitch. And look, I don't think he's been as poor this season as a lot of people suggest, because, as I say, I think last season the standards were so high. You know, he was exceptional last season. He was unbelievably good last season. And difficult to keep that sort of intensity and that sort of form up. He'd been away at the European Championships as well. The fact that he didn't play as much football for England in that tournament as he probably would have hoped may well have dented his confidence, his belief a little bit. But seeing this today will help.
Two teams are with us, shaking hands with each other, greeting the referees. They've done well in this fixture, Newcastle, in recent times, but today, just how do they get another positive result?
Just looking at ourselves, I think we have to carry a threat. I think we have to be an attacking force in the game. We have to be brave with the ball as well. So forgetting their qualities, which you know is very easy to say you can't, because they're an outstanding team, but I think just looking at us, we have to, as I say, be that attacking force in the game and not forget what we're good at, and I think that's absolutely crucial.
Newcastle have to carry a threat and remember what they are good at. And you've said, Ando, that the way Manchester City play means that there will be chances. Look, they pass it out from the back. They've been caught playing against Newcastle like that in the past. The goalkeeper got injured, Ederson, last season when I think it was Sean Longstaff was closing him down because they were playing it out at the back. And,
was that offside decision?
Yeah, and he just got away with it, but
the linesman didn't put his flag up until the keeper got injured.
So even though they don't have Alexander Isak, they've got Gordon up front, they've got Barnes, and they've got Murphy back in the team. Pace and in Barnes a player who's in great form in front of goal.
Yeah, he looks to drift in off that left-hand side, doesn't he? I mean, the goal that he got at Wolves was sublime. You know, it was an outrageous strike. No keeper saving that. His confidence is bound to be sky high. But look, as I said earlier, we're going to have to be at our best to get anything today. Because, but it's one of them where you raise your standards against the better side. You know, you raise your game, and hopefully that will be the case for us here today.
Manchester City, Ederson in goal, Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Diaz, Joško Gvardiol. In midfield, Rico Lewis, Mateo Kovacic, Ilkay Gundogan.
Sorry guys, it's just interesting to see there. They went into the huddle and it was Kieran Trippier that was doing all the talking.
Front three for Man City: Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, Erling Haaland. On the bench, Ortega, Carson, Stones, Doku, Savinho, Mateus Nunes, Foden and McAtee. Newcastle United, 3 changes from Fulham. Pope in goal, Trippier, Schär, Byrne, Hall, Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton. First Premier League start for Sandro Tonali since his return from suspension. Only his 17th outing in a Newcastle shirt. Murphy, Barnes and Gordon, and a bench of Dubravka, Kraft, Osula, Livramento, Almiron, Kelly, Willock, Longstaff and Alex Murphy. Black and white stripes from Newcastle, black shorts and socks. City, sky blue shirts, white shorts, white socks. Jared Gillett wearing luminous yellow blows us underway. Anthony Gordon back to Bruno Guimaraes. And we're on BBC Radio Newcastle and NUFC TV. Newcastle have been switched by City to kick down the hill towards the goal to the Gallagher end to our right hand side in the first half, and they're on an attack. Trippier up the line towards Murphy, who's got the better of Gvardiol. Jacob Murphy finds at the edge of the area Harvey Barnes, but Rico Lewis threw himself in and made a brilliant block, and now Bruno Guimaraes has caught Lewis. And the referee, Jared Gillett, has awarded a free kick to Manchester City inside the opening 60 seconds. But that was an electric start by Newcastle. Quickly up the line, Murphy, strong play. Barnes, maybe the first touch was a bit too heavy.
Yeah, we've seen it in previous games where we started well. But a long way to go in this one, but yeah, you like to get on the front foot early, don't you? And that's exactly what we've done.
Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier and Jacob Murphy trying to drop into the space on this near side. Trippier getting there before Gvardiol, and still Trippier, and Ederson comes out, collides with his own player Akanji, but 2 balls up this near side Newcastle, and Joško Gvardiol hasn't really dealt with either. First Murphy, second time Trippier, getting into good positions. Gordon at centre forward, closing down Akanji, who sprints out of the penalty area. Gvardiol tackled by Gordon, but illegally so. Gordon slid in, caught the Croatian international, who's had an eventful 120 seconds. Maybe they've decided to target him. Newcastle 6th in the table, Manchester City top, 3 points between them after 5 Premier League games. And possession across the back line for Pep Guardiola's team. Ruben Dias to Ederson. Slowly walks the ball to the edge of the penalty area, into the D to Kovacic. And up from Ruben Dias to Erling Haaland. That's misplaced. Kovacic has got it back and won a second challenge, but Lewis Hall for Newcastle, drop of the shoulder onto Joelinton. Barnes up the line. They get a throw, middle of the Man City half in front of the East stand. Into Bruno from Hall. Got bright red boots today and bright white hair, Bruno. Trippier with a nod back to Fabian Schär. And Schär, diagonal ball. It's behind Barnes, who'd come in off the left wing. It's a City throw. Eddie Howe comes to the edge of the technical area. Puts his hands behind his back and keeping an eye on the play as Manchester City work it to the left wing to Jack Grealish, taking on Trippier for the first time. Grealish shot headed away by Schär. Akanji on his chest and Grealish just outside the box now, left of centre. Back to Akanji, who could hit this. Standing off him.
Centre back, he won't hit it.
Instead rolls it to Grealish on the corner of the area. Swept across to Walker, 0-0 after 4 minutes. Hall closing down Bernardo Silva, who got the 2 goals in the FA Cup tie, the quarter-final. March at the Manchester City Etihad Stadium. Nearly called it City of Manchester Stadium. Hasn't been that for a long time, has it? This is Grealish into the penalty area, taking on Trippier. Newcastle doubling up on him. Tonali gets out then to Akanji, who takes the shot on first time.
Took a deflection off Tonali.
Not a lot of power from Akanji. I know he went with the inside of his foot, but Tonali diverted it behind.
Yeah, it wasn't far wide, was it?
City with possession and pressure on the Newcastle penalty box, and it's yielded a corner. Gundogan, 33-year-old, returns to City in the summer after 12 months with Barcelona. The former captain Rico Lewis offers himself short along the goal line. Jacob Murphy then went with Lewis, who jogs back into the 6-yard box. Newcastle want Gundogan to get on with it. It's Grealish, corner of the area, back to Gundogan. High ball towards the back post, header from Schär, and Lewis Hall out to the far touchline, 0-0. Long ball, and it's Bruno leading the chase with Walker.
Not going to run him. He's not going to run him. Not a chance in the world.
You're not going to do him for pace. You're probably not going to knock him over either, are you, Kyle Walker?
Bit of a mismatch, that one.
But Bruno finding himself in the most advanced position of any Newcastle player. Eddie Howe joined now by Jason Tindall. Also wearing black, but a retro Newcastle tracksuit. Jason Tindall with a bit of green and white on, and Pep Guardiola hands in pockets to their left. City with possession. Akanji to Gundogan, left side of central midfield. Tonali gave him a bit of a push, but City have the ball. Referee allows play to continue. Akanji now to Gundogan. There's a lot of space on the near side for the German. Into the area, Haaland, low shot, easily saved by Pope next to his right hand post.
Yeah, good run. No pace in the shot, easy take for Nick Pope.
Out to Schär, back to Nick Pope. Well, under pressure from Haaland, seemed uncertain, but actually gets a ball into the City half. That Gvardiol, he's got a thick beard, Joško Gvardiol, got above Kieran Trippier to head out, thrown into midfield to Joelinton, takes it under control. Lewis at his back, Hall receives it next to the centre circle, up to Barnes, into Joelinton, back to Barnes, good football, now through for Gordon, but slightly behind Gordon.
Better.
He was making his run out to the left. It was a more central pass. It's an issue in central midfield here. Eddie Howe's talking to Sandro Tonali. You look at Gundogan's pulling out to the left wing. Tonali's not sure whether to go with him or stay. And Eddie Howe's trying to get a message to Tonali and also Jacob Murphy, because in the last City attack it was Gundogan who got that space completely free.
Just drifts, doesn't he?
Tonali's with him now.
Yeah, because Gundogan's...
Cher wins it from Haaland. Bruno away from Gundogan to Murphy. Newcastle in the final third. Barnes in the middle and Gordon back post. Murphy's ball was a teasing one, but it was too far in front of the other two attackers.
Not the worst ball in the world, was it? Needed somebody who's going to go and attack that, but there's not a great deal of height in there.
BBC Radio Newcastle, NUFC TV. Decent start. It's been quite enjoyable, hasn't it, John Anderson?
Yeah, look, the one thing you'd say is when you play Manchester City, they're always pretty open games, aren't they? Because they don't come and they don't sit back.
Through midfield from Ederson to Grealish, back of the centre circle. Trippier with a trip. Manchester City free kick.
Good pun, that. Trippier with the trip.
Yeah. It's 0-0. And Akanji across to Walker. More than 300 Manchester City appearances, Kyle Walker, in 7 years at the club. Kovacic floats it on the diagonal to Grealish. Comes inside, off the touchline. Plays it into the centre to Ruben Dias. Kovacic tries to go away from Gordon, who was all over him. And the pass back towards Ederson didn't have a lot behind it, and Gordon, with the goalkeeper who's back-heeled it out to the right full-back position, took a bit of a risk there. Newcastle pressing high, and supporters responding to that as Haaland can't control a ball up the line.
Better energy level, so much better today.
Eddie Howe said at his press conference yesterday that there was something different about training this week, suggesting they'd had a better week, but my interpretation was there'd been more intensity, and you wonder how hard they'd been at it in training, because in the last couple of years the intensity they trained with matched the way they play. That's where they got it from. They've been a bit sluggish at times. If they've upped it in training, maybe we'll see that approach in the games as well, because that's that line that they use. Intensity is our identity. Manchester City have it after Newcastle threw the ball back into play. And it's Gvardiol to Ederson, wearing luminous orange, Pope in green and yellow at the other end. No Isak because of injury. Gordon at centre forward. 3 changes for United today. Here's Jacob Murphy, one of the players in the team, lets it run out of play from a misplaced ball in midfield by the away side.
Well, Haaland again. It's pinged straight into him. It's a straightforward ball. He gives it away. That's a couple of times he's done that. You can see why he doesn't get involved in the build-up play, can't you?
Hall to Barnes. Joelinton's gone beyond. It's back to Hall. And Dan Burn lets it come across his body, drops it into the box for Nick Pope. Cher available to the right. Pope goes back to Burn. Hall with Joelinton up the line. Barnes close to halfway. Find Harvey Barnes. His touch has gone backwards and Man City win it, and Bruno gets it. Maybe he could play Tonali in, and instead looks for Murphy. Jacob Murphy. Oh, he went for the first time cross.
Should have taken it, shouldn't he?
And it's back to Ederson off Gvardiol. The cross was behind Gordon. Tonali was coming in, but it was defended well by City. But yeah, maybe he could have driven on and gone further.
Yeah, he should have taken it on. You can see what he was trying to do. He's just trying to play that first time ball around the corner. But he had space to break into as well.
And I was just about to say, all the space for him and for Newcastle has been on this near side, their right hand side, where they've had now I think 3 breaks, 3 moments. 0-0 though. 13th minute of the match. Gundogan 5 yards square in central midfield to Akanji, who's pushed up from centre back. It's so fluid the Manchester City formation. They just pop up everywhere. Grealish now, he drops it into the centre circle to Walker, got an option to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva hugging the touchline, back into the centre to Ruben Diaz, every black and white shirt behind the ball. Kovacic now, 35 yards out. Ruben Diaz receives it again, carries it forwards. Gvardiol tackled by Cher, the loose ball comes to Grealish. In the final third, inside to Kovacic, and now Walker. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Kovacic to Grealish, attempting to run it. Trippier has to come into the centre. Seems to be a standard move, doesn't it? He comes in, drifts inside off the left wing and drops it off, which he's done again. Now Ruben Diaz, and it's Gvardiol in the wide left position. Back to Ruben Diaz, patient passing from Manchester City. Newcastle keeping their shape, but they're shuffling forwards, getting up the pitch as City go back to halfway. And then Fabian Cher with an interception and caught late as he cleared it, but Gordon might have a chance to get in. Gordon being held, surely. Gordon produces a pass to Barnes, edge of the area. Joelinton beyond. Barnes ball to Joelinton, not the best, but they've still got it in the penalty box. Wide to Joelinton now. Bruno, corner of the area. Referee played what could have been a really good advantage for Newcastle, because it would have been a free kick for the challenge on Cher. Bruno with it now. Still Bruno. It's come to Gordon and on to Kieran Trippier, who has a touch, and his shot is deflected behind by Grealish for a corner on this near side.
Yeah, good build-up play, good hit. Grealish was brave, threw his body in the way of it.
Grealish is down, might have been hurt by that effort from Trippier, the way that it
just hit him in the midriff, didn't it?
Yeah, they haven't brought on any of their medical staff, Manchester City. Kieran Trippier's come jogging over to the near side of the pitch for some new boots. Lewis Hall is going to take the Newcastle corner. Kieran Trippier,
he's only putting one on.
It's a new boot on his right foot. He's got a purple boot on his right foot and an orange one on his left. 15 minutes played. The corner after his shot was deflected behind. Lewis Hall's come over to take it. Grealish is all right. Cher round the back with Joelinton. Hall's corner kick. Joelinton and Byrne go for it. Joelinton with a second header caught by Ederson.
Yeah. A little bit of a height advantage in there we've got.
Bruno trying to make a tackle on Rico Lewis. It's a Manchester City throw. Rico Lewis, the teenager, looks to the referee saying he thought he was fouled. Tonali winning it back for Newcastle and using it well. Through for Trippier into space. He's got two in the middle. Trippier takes a touch. Now the cross to the back post, stabbed away by Ruben Diaz. Tried to pick someone out accurately. City clear, but it's back with Trippier on the right wing. Forward to Tonali. Low ball is blocked, and it's a throw next to the corner flag.
Yeah, Trippier giving us so much width and so much depth down this right hand side. Every time we get it, he just gets himself on his bike, gets into those advanced positions.
That's what he does so well when he joins in the Newcastle attack. Backwards they go from the throw. Cher inside to Byrne, over to Hall, wants to play forwards, up the line to Barnes. And Walker has fouled Barnes, despite coming away with the ball. Jared Gillett awards Newcastle a free kick. 17 minutes played. What do you make of what you've seen overall?
Start. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's a little bit like a chess game, isn't it, at the minute?
The television company today's got one of those cameras that's suspended from the roof of each stand on rope. It's low down, pitch level, close to where the players are. And the two players next to the free kick for Newcastle are Anthony Gordon and Lewis Hall. Gordon runs over it, Hall curls it in, left-footed. Walker, comfortable header clear. And it's come back to Hall on the far side, stabbed into space for Gordon near the corner. Not a good ball by Lewis Hall. Gordon's cross, Tonali couldn't really hold it. Bruno gets it back. Hall again, and trying to keep the intensity up, keep the pressure on Newcastle. Gordon with a cross that took a deflection, cross from deep. He's headed it back, but he's given it away. And this is where Manchester City are dangerous, but Gundogan loses it. Now Tonali for Barnes. He's going to beat him. Don't know if he would have been offside anyway. It's the right idea to try and drop it into the corner, but it was overhit.
Yeah, Gundogan got his feet tied up, didn't he? Thankfully, because the break was on for Manchester City.
And Kieran Trippier just urged his teammates quickly to get up the pitch, and they all did, to try and squeeze Manchester City, keep them in the corner. 19th minute at St James's Park, with Gvardiol about to take the throw. Haaland up the line, it's 0-0. It's gone straight out, the throw. And it's Newcastle's ball.
No, it's not. Didn't come in. It's our ball. It's our ball. Their ball.
So the
ball didn't come into play.
They've got to do it again.
It's down, the ball didn't come into play.
He's given it away to Bruno. Hang on, it's a foul throw this time.
Guardiola hasn't had the best start, has he?
Guardiola, watching Gvardiol with a scratch of the head. It's not been his finest performance so far. Here's Tonali, heads it away from Gvardiol, and Tonali trying to back in and use his strength, and then he's fouled. Gvardiol next to the assistant referee, and I don't think you can really complain about that. Now Newcastle drop back as Ederson leaves his position in the box to take the free kick. How do you think Tonali's done so far?
All right.
Quiet start, but a couple of balls that have been good.
It's been, as you say, it's been quiet.
Bruno in midfield, Joelinton trying to make a challenge, Tonali getting involved as well. Kovacic just come away with it. Manchester City foul by Joelinton on Grealish. That was untidy and clumsy,
to say the least. Dear oh dear, what's he thinking?
It's on the left wing for City. Going, Grealish didn't react. Kieran Trippier pulled Joelinton away because I think, apart from anything else, he was going to have a go at the referee.
Was he trying to say it wasn't a free kick?
That camera on the ropes has been lowered. I'm surprised one of those, you see them all the time at matches, I'm surprised that one of them either hasn't dropped off its holdings, or
could do some damage if it did,
or hasn't been hit by a football. I'm sure one of them's been hit by a ball. Anyway, on the left of midfield, 30 to 35 yards out with no goals, Manchester City free kick. Bernardo Silva has come over to the near side. Ilkay Gundogan's there too. Gundogan runs over it. Bernardo Silva with a bit of whip into the box. Burn went down and gets a free kick. Big man. Got a push. Newcastle United get the decision at half-time.
Straightforward, wasn't it?
Half-time in this one. We'll go to Watford to look ahead to Sunderland's match, which is a 3 o'clock kick-off commentary on Sunderland today, coming after the Newcastle game here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Sunderland phone in tonight after their match, and then the non-league roundup. We're with you until 6. Gordon closing down Ederson, and Ederson's ball is too high for Walker. Joe Linton throws it back into play. Hall comes into midfield. Tonali available behind him. He misses him out and gives it to Byrne. Fabian Schär 10 yards behind, halfway in behind. Ooh, for Trippier.
Right idea.
Ederson's got it. It's in between Akanji and Gvardiol. Because Akanji, more so than Ruben Diaz,
drifts into midfield,
moves into midfield, so there's a big gap. Gundogan to Gvardiol's trodden on the ball and then produced a back pass to Ederson, who takes a touch. Gordon closing down, got close. Grealish then collides with Schär, and Fabian Schär doesn't like the way that Jack Grealish, I think he said something to him on his way off, and Kieran Trippier is peacemaker again.
There's nothing in that.
And Grealish now having a laugh and asking a question of Fabian Schär. What's the problem?
Exactly.
Schär's all right. He's given his head a bit of a rub. Referee's happy. Trippier to Bruno. Schär's available in the corner. It goes back to him and then goes long. And Jacob Murphy using his pace to try and get there, and he does get there. Murphy, but good recovery by Gvardiol. And it's Newcastle United corner. It went that side of the corner flag.
Target and Gvardiol, aren't they? They're getting in behind him. Mind you, on this occasion he's done well. Defended it well.
It was a bit last ditch, but he got it behind, and Lewis Hall with another corner. Anthony Gordon has come to the right corner of the box, could get it short. Murphy on the edge of the D. Hall sticks it into the middle. Couple of headers from Manchester City, and it's behind for a corner on the far side. The player it hit last, Erling Haaland, knew absolutely nothing about it. Oh no, it was Haaland first, sorry, and then Grealish.
Smacked Grealish on top of the head. Could have went anywhere.
This corner will be taken by Kieran Trippier with his mismatched boots. In it comes, in swing, around the back. Fabian Schär across, headed up by Byrne, but away from goal. Joe Linton brings it down and finds Murphy forwards to Bruno, looking for another black and white shirt. Bernardo Silva, they claim for handball against him after he intercepted. Schär them, trips Grealish. That'll be a yellow card.
Yeah, deliberate. Knew what he was doing.
Stopped the counter-attack, probably didn't mind that it was Grealish that he was fouling.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Was it handball against Bernardo Silva?
I didn't think so.
Okay.
Right in front of the linesman.
We've had 26 minutes at St James's, it's 0-0. How do you think the front three has functioned with Gordon at centre forward, no Isak?
He's worked hard, hasn't he? Gordon, his closing down's been good.
Gvardiol went to take the free kick, stumbled, now eventually delivers the ball. Great touch by Rico Lewis, edge of the area for Haaland, and Bernardo Silva into the box on the far side, back to Gundogan. He's completely miscued that.
It's a couple of times he's done that, isn't it?
And it's a goal kick. Well, the left back and the left central midfielder have
great touch by Lewis, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they've had some unfortunate moments so far for Manchester City. Jacob Murphy having a word with the assistant referee on the near side. Newcastle go up to the other wing. Joe Linton, lovely take and lay off for Hall. Barnes bends his run, comes inside. Hall then does a step over, turns back and gives it to Byrne. Joe Linton, Fabian Schär, and now Kieran Trippier. Murphy's on halfway, gets it, looks forwards, comes back to Trippier, nothing risky. Schär with a big switch, the diagonal ball, Barnes won't get there, and between them Walker and Ederson had it covered. The goalkeeper picks it up just inside the box.
Yeah, far too much on it, wasn't it?
Gordon sprinting. Imagine That gets tiring, all those shuttle runs between defenders and to the ball back to goalkeeper. He's worked hard so far as Manchester City move it up the other end, and Bernardo Silva in the box, and at the far post Trippier has to turn it behind with Haaland coming in and almost collided with the post, Kieran Trippier, but he had to get the touch on that ball over from Bernardo Silva.
Haaland's just done something I haven't seen many people do. He just went shoulder to shoulder with Dan Burn and put him on his backside. Like running into a wall.
That was a concerning moment at the back for Newcastle. They cleared it out for this corner, 29th minute. İlkay Gundogan, a packed penalty box, chips it in towards the near post. Newcastle win a couple of headers, Burn with the second one to get rid from the penalty area. Back to Gundogan, Joe away, Bernardo Silva back in, Akanji on his chest, Tonali with a stab, and behind off Guardiol for a goal kick to Nick Pope, 0-0.
Yeah, there's not a great deal in the game, is there? Not many clear-cut chances.
Pope pings it a good 20 yards to Hall, and Barnes trying to get in behind Walker. Walker appealing for offside. Flag didn't come up. Barnes didn't control the ball. Manchester City won it back.
I have to say, he looked offside, didn't he?
The idea though is interesting. That's a couple of times now that they've played it up the left side, the far side of the pitch, because they're shooting towards the Gallagher end in the first half, and their early joy had come down the near right side. Walker fouled by Joe Linton.
He's just taking him out again. There's no need to do it. Walker's not going anywhere. There's no need to foul him.
Getting on for 40 yards out on the right hand side. Gundogan, hands on hips. Bernardo Silva likewise. Newcastle's defensive line is in front of the D. Erling Haaland looks like he's got a bit of an issue. He's just testing his knee there. Doesn't look comfortable for the last 30 seconds or so. He's now in the middle. They play a short one quickly to Bernardo Silva, back to Gundogan, and that's another one that hasn't come off for him. Straight up and out of play. Goal kick.
He's not having one, is he? He's been poor. His touch has been poor, Gundogan. He's better than that.
Ball is back in play. Trippier to Bruno. Tonali, high foot. Free kick, Newcastle. Into central midfield. Trippier to Bruno. Fouled by Haaland. Tonali picks it up. They don't restart quickly. Take their time, Newcastle. Dan Burn's going to go forwards, actually. Fabian Schär still rubbing the side of his head after that earlier brush with Jack Grealish. He goes forwards as well. City high line, straight through the centre of their half. No goals on BBC Radio Newcastle. Kieran Trippier. Anthony Gordon standing well offside. Clips it up. Burn with a header, which went up and then dropped for a Man City player. Another sky blue shirt now. Bernardo Silva is on it, and Walker gives Burn the slip. Burn chasing him all the way with a back pass to Ederson. Burn closes down the goalkeeper. Gordon then wins it back from the ball out from Ederson, and Newcastle now in midfield. Joe Linton misplaced pass. Bruno Guimaraes with a foul, and it's a yellow card. But is it for Joe Linton or is it for Bruno?
Guimaraes.
It's for Bruno, who slid in after Joe Linton's misplaced pass, because he sent İlkay Gundogan up into the air. But having lost out initially, Burn and Gordon helped win it back. Misplaced ball, and then you have Bruno on a yellow card. It's not it's not a good outcome from that passage of play. Look at Haaland. Just doesn't look entirely comfortable. Looking to the bench, I'm sure it's his knee. Looks like his left knee or shin. So Bruno yellow carded. 33 minutes on the clock at St James's. Lewis Hall beats Haaland in the air. Tonali in midfield onto Joe Linton. Looking for Barnes, intercepted. Joe Linton's got it back. Hall away. Tonali and Barnes compete for it. Kovacic with possession. And in midfield, Murphy. Bruno get close to winning it back, but City still have possession. A couple of nearly moments for Newcastle there. Grealish caught by Gordon. Play on. City have still got it. Good advantage from the referee.
Gundogan's giving it away again.
Joe Linton now to Barnes. He's not had much space or much room, Harvey Barnes. Or time on the ball. Bruno away from Gundogan, back to Hall. Comes forward, turns back. Nice ball inside by Lewis Hall. Bit of space. Bruno. And swept over to Trippier, just behind halfway. Tonali gets forwards. It's inside to Bruno. Trying to stay on side here, Newcastle. Gordon chasing, but Akanji's favourite. Gets it back to goalkeeper Ederson. Such a high line as well, isn't it? Manchester City.
Yeah, if they get it wrong, they're in trouble. Look.
They had 4 up there on the last line, Newcastle. Gordon, Tonali, Murphy. There was another player in the middle. I think they wanted a quick ball, but they went inside from Trippier to Bruno instead. We've had no goals here at St James's Park. Not many clear-cut chances either. Newcastle haven't given Ederson a lot to do. At the other end, Pope now might be tested. Gvardiol, low shot into the bottom corner. Joško Gvardiol has put Manchester City into a first half lead. Rolled in, left side of the box, cut inside and slotted it into the bottom of the goal. He's had a bit of a nightmare first half, but he's popped up with the opener at St James's in the 35th minute. Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 1.
Well, he hasn't done great defensively. He's been cut out, but he's put them in front. Grealish does well. He gives Trippier the slip. Trippier dives in, doesn't make the tackle, misses it. Good little ball played in. Not sure who it is. Gvardiol sidesteps. Oh, it's Dan Bourne. He does. Bourne gets across, he just sidesteps him. Rolls it into the far corner.
Erling Haaland receiving some treatment during the goal celebrations. Haaland, they were putting some spray onto his left leg lower down. Looks like it was the bottom of the shin towards the ankle. Newcastle kicked off. Referee tells them they have to do it again, which Anthony Gordon does. And they're in possession in midfield. Bruno to Tonali. Trippier wants it. Oh, he's gone. He went offside, Trippier. The flag might come up here if he gets onto this. Receives it in the corner. Trippier. Flag stays down. Back to Murphy. Tonali available. Bruno in the centre. Wide with Trippier once again. And now Bruno. Gundogan in front of him. 30 yards out, Bruno to Gordon. And back to Hall. Barnes wide left. It's into space for Joe Linton to chase after. He's putting Ruben Dias under pressure and wins a corner. That's strong from Joe Linton, but fair from Joe Linton.
On that occasion.
1-0 down Newcastle with that goal that came from Gvardiol a couple of minutes ago. Their response is to win a corner. Kieran Trippier to deliver from the left. Drops it into the 6-yard box, but headed away by Haaland in the near post area. Back to Trippier. Gordon with it now. Up the line to Trippier, who takes a touch, sends over another cross. Ederson punches. And Gordon here to Murphy. Shares on this right side. receives it from Murphy, and they go back to Hall, furthest outfield player, back in the centre circle, and build again with Trippier wide to Barnes, but he can't control. He's been quiet today, Harvey Barnes. They've not been able to get him in the game.
No, he hasn't gone looking for it though. If you're not getting in the game, you need to go looking for the ball.
BBC Radio Newcastle. Every Newcastle United match live with us this season. Total Sport Monday to Friday between 6 and 8. You can phone in to have your say on Newcastle. Also listen on BBC Sounds. Up the pitch from Ruben Dias, and Dan Burn heads it out. What could they have done, do you think? You saw the goal a couple of times to prevent it.
Could have defended it better.
Yeah.
Dan Burn gets done far too easy. Just gets torn far too easy.
Haaland brings it down from throw. Newcastle back to Pope, away first time. Gordon battling for it with Ruben Dias, and it's with Harvey Barnes now, and takes it forwards into space. That's good from Barnes. Hall up the line, gives it to Hall and carries on his run. Middle of Man City's half. Joelinton laid off to Bruno, clipped into the box by Bruno towards Trippier, taken down by Trippier on the line, cuts it back. Tonali let it run. Oh, and it didn't really come for anybody, but then Bruno beats Kovacic in a challenge, and Barnes forwards to Hall. Hall's cross is blocked, and it's fallen nicely for Gundogan to boot clear. And Nick Pope comes a long way out of his goal, closed down by Haaland, controls on his thigh and gives it away. Dan Burn beaten to it by Gundogan, who then tries to chip Pope, who got back. Didn't have the height anyway, but that could have been.
He's had an absolute nightmare 40 minutes, Gundogan. He's been absolutely awful.
Space again on the near side for Trippier. Bruno's ball to find him. Grealish comes to close down. Trippier onto Murphy. It's good play. They want a free kick for Akanji on Murphy, but referee says no foul.
Not a chance.
Murphy gets up. So the appeals came from supporters rather than players, although Murphy did ask the question of assistant referee Darren Cann on the near side. 1-0 to Manchester City. Kovacic back to Ruben Dias. He was an unused substitute on Tuesday in their cup win over Watford. Murphy to Tonali. Gordon on the right wing, whips over a decent looking ball, but it beat Bruno and is chested back by Walker.
Good defending, wasn't it? Good awareness. He knew where Barnes was. Strong chest back to his goalkeeper. Good ball played in though, to be fair.
Bruno trying to challenge Akanji. Finds goal scorer Gvardiol. Ederson taking his time, passes it to knee height up to midfield to Grealish, and then Gundogan on, and Haaland trying to get there. Burn and Hall do enough, Hall especially, but then gives it away to Gundogan, and now another chance, but Gundogan's ball overhit back into the box, and Nick Pope has it. Newcastle with another worrying moment at the back, having dealt with it initially. They just gave it straight back to Manchester City and thankfully weren't punished. Still only 1-0. .42nd minute, Hall, the header from the touchline on the far side, but it's Rico Lewis for Manchester City who has it. Then Bruno makes a challenge, they win it back, Newcastle. Barnes beaten off the ball by Walker, and in the wide right position Bernardo Silva, on to Kyle Walker again. Lewis plays it back to Bernardo Silva, and now they've got it in front of the centre circle with Akanji. Newcastle have everybody behind the ball. Walker slowly bringing it forwards, rolls it to Rico Lewis, and Trippier intercepts the ball towards Grealish. It's gone for a throw next to the Manchester City dugout in the Newcastle half. Gvardiol, not in a hurry. Referee tells him to release the ball, and he eventually does. Kovacic here away from Newcastle midfielders. Lewis to Gundogan, and Grealish gets it under control, breaks into the box, comes inside. Grealish, the layoff for Akanji, behind off Bruno.
They've upped it, haven't they? Finding little pockets, Manchester City.
Only one win in 33 Premier League matches against Manchester City. It was 5.5 years ago for Newcastle, the 2-1 victory. Matt Ritchie penalty, and they are losing as we approach half-time on BBC Radio Newcastle. A corner to be defended towards the penalty spot, and Akanji headed away. Gordon has got it now, and Murphy to the left. Are they able to break quickly? They find Murphy. Gordon still going. Barnes available as well. Murphy using his pace to get forwards and beat his man. Exciting play by Jacob Murphy, still going. And then the cut back. There are some appeals for handball from fans behind the goal and from players. Referee Jared Gillett says play on. Not quite sure which Man City defender was involved. They had 3 or 4 back.
Kovacic, wasn't it, who was on the byline?
And although Murphy didn't pick out a black and white shirt, he made good progress up the left wing with good speed. They've put him into centre forward at the moment with Gordon on the right side. We're in the final minute of the half now, and no further information about what happened in that.
Well, obviously nothing happened.
And the ball, ball hasn't gone dead, but we've not seen a replay of what happened. VAR is Stuart Atwell.
There wasn't a great deal of appeals, was there?
It's fans and a few players who were nearby. Ruben Dias to Gvardiol, twisting, turning away, followed by Cher all the way out from central defence. Back to Ruben Dias. Numbers board is in the hands of Robert Jones, the 4th official. Gvardiol on his chest, plays it against Trippier, who finds Tonali. And then back to Trippier, who is bundled over by Gundogan. A minute of additional time is the minimum period at the end of this first half. Kieran Trippier comes for a quick word with Jason Tindall before walking towards the ball. He's going to take the free kick for Newcastle. In added on time, looking for Byrne, edge of the area, helped on, Joelinton. Good save by Ederson. Newcastle's first real chance, then Dan Byrne back into the middle, cleared by City as far as Hall 30 yards out. On for Joelinton again, through for Barnes into the penalty box. Harvey Barnes, it's corner. Well, Joelinton stung the palms of Ederson with that powerful shot as Newcastle,
good save, wasn't it?
Produced their first effort on target of the match. And now Sandro Tonali with the corner kick, headed away by Haaland, the first man. Disappointing delivery from the set piece after they raised the excitement levels at St James's Park, threatening to equalise with that Joelinton shot. But they go in at the break. John Anderson trailing by 1-0 scored by Joško Gvardiol.
Yeah, it's been very tactical, the game. I mean, when Manchester City have it, we're getting 11 players behind the ball, filling spaces, not giving them room to play in. There hasn't been a great deal of goal-mouth action. In fact, I think the goal is Manchester City's only shot on target. We had to wait till the dying seconds to get our first shot on target. So, look, I suppose if you could say, if you want to get something out of it, you've got to come out and play a little bit more. but it's very, very tactical at this moment in time. Still a tight one to call.
And finally, changes. How have they altered the way Newcastle play? Tonali in midfield. Hall Kelly's like for like, but Gordon's got a different role today.
Yeah, Gordon's, I mean, you can see his work rate and his chase and everything about it, can't question it. But he doesn't look comfortable up there. He doesn't look comfortable through the middle. Midfield hasn't changed, to be fair. Still the same. But 1-0 half time. Still a very, very tight game. And as I say, tough on the call.
Coming up at 3 o'clock on BBC Radio Newcastle today, we've got commentary on Sunderland. We'll preview their match against Watford shortly, and look at the rest of the day's sporting action with Dom James in the studio. And the second half from St James's Park against Manchester City is on the way soon. There's been just one goal in the opening 45 minutes. It was scored in the 35th minute by Joško Gvardiol, and at half-time Newcastle United trail by 1-0.
On BBC iPlayer.
Where's James?
Your brother spent day in and day out at some grisly murder scene or other. Until 3 nights ago, when he didn't come home at all.
When his twin goes missing.
James didn't just vanish. He left breadcrumbs, coded messages.
Can a puzzle setter solve the biggest conundrum of his life?
I'm impersonating a police officer.
Yes, but he's your brother.
That's really not the legal loophole you think it is.
Starring David Mitchell and Anna Maxwell Martin. Ludwig.
Bit awkward, really. I think I might just have solved a murder.
Watch on BBC iPlayer.
Dominic James back in the BBC Radio Newcastle studio. Half-time at St James's Park. Manchester City leading Newcastle 1-0 at half-time. Thank you very much to Matthew Racebeck and to John Anderson. We'll rejoin them shortly for second half commentary. Elsewhere in the Premier League today, the 3 o'clock kickoffs: Arsenal against Leicester City, Brentford against West Ham, Chelsea entertain Brighton at Stamford Bridge, and Crystal Palace go to Goodison to face Everton, and Nottingham Forest are against Fulham this afternoon at 5:30 today. Wolves welcome Liverpool to Molineux. In the Championship today, there's 3 early kickoffs, and it's goalless at half-time between Blackburn and QPR. Norwich are leading Derby County by 1-0, and Sheffield Wednesday are 2-0 up over West Brom. Sunderland are away to Watford, and that is our second football commentary here on BBC Radio Newcastle today. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett will have full match commentary from Vicarage Road, and Barnesy joins me now. Afternoon, Nick.
Good afternoon, Dom.
How are you?
I'm good. What we're going to do? We're going to talk fishing, or we're going to talk football? Oof. We've had this debate this morning, haven't we, about what would be more pertinent.
Well, you're a big fan of the new series, Gone Fishing with Bob Mortimer.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, yeah.
I think it's probably wise if we stick to football, though. I reckon.
All right, okay, I'll grant you that this afternoon.
Yes, back on track though after last week's win over Middlesbrough, and full of confidence going into today.
Well, one would hope so. I think we're going to see one, if not more, changes today. It seems very much like Mayenda is going to miss the game. The players are just having a stroll around on the pitch at the moment. I've not seen Mayenda. It looks like, I think, Abdullah Bar has been brought down as well, back in from the cold, if you like. He wasn't involved with the under-21s last night. But as I say, no sign of Mayenda, and I haven't seen Dan Ballard either. So there's every chance Chris Mepham will continue in the heart of defence. And the thinking is that Wilson Isidore will probably start up front in preference to Nazari Rusin, who is actually, he is here, but I think the feeling is Isidore will probably be the player that starts. Zach Johnson's travelled with the squad as well, so that's an extra defender, which sort of underlines the fact that I think Dan Ballard is probably missing today. So expect one change at least, but also in terms of would Ballard come back, it's looking like that's not going to be the case this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a few callers on Total Sport as well saying that it would be very harsh for Mepham to miss out after his performance against Middlesbrough last week. But Barnes, it's a big week coming up, isn't it, with 3 big matches, including today?
Well, it's a big. I mean, everyone's playing the 3 games, but I think the point, as I made it last night, it's not so much that it's a 3-game week. I think that teams, coaches, players resign themselves in these leagues that they are going to have those spells when you are playing 3 games a week. It's the fact that next week one's on Tuesday night and one's on Friday night. There's
Very
not
rare,
much, there's not much, gap in between. And even though, realistically, the time frame between each game is no more than it would be if it was a Saturday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Wednesday, and so on. Psychologically, it feels like it's being concertinaed in and squashed in to a fairly heavy week. And I think it's something that Regis Lebris touched on in his press conference this week about energy, efficiency, and making sure that they do everything right to make sure that when you come to that Leeds game on the Friday night, you're not exhausted. You've done everything right. It may well also signal the fact that he's going to possibly rotate. He might make a few changes in that sense, but it's going to be very difficult. If they win today, do you change a winning team for Derby County on Tuesday night? And then if they beat Derby on Tuesday night, do you change a winning team for Leeds on Friday night? There is also, of course, the factor that Trey Hume's on he's on 4 yellow cards and on a 5th yellow card. If he finds himself booked today or Tuesday, how does he reconfigure the defence? The feeling seems to be that it would be a back 3 with Mundle and Roberts playing as wing backs. But those are all for the future. The immediate is Watford this afternoon, who themselves will have a couple of changes to make because of injuries to the goalkeeper and one of the centre backs. So it's interesting because Sunderland have not won here in 25 years. It's only 6 matches, but nonetheless, it's still a statistic that hangs over Sunderland here at Vicarage Road. A beautiful afternoon, glorious weather, no excuses in that department. Even though there has been a lot of rain in the south over the last few days, it's almost perfect this afternoon.
Yes, Nick Barnes, thank you very much for now. We'll build up to that game straight after the conclusion of Newcastle versus Manchester City, Sunderland away to Watford in the Championship. Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett with full match commentary from 3 o'clock this afternoon. Non-league wise, today Gateshead are away to Southend in the National League and the MPL Premier. Blythe Spartans welcome Baseford United to Croft Park. This is our featured game today. Non-league guru Mark Carruthers is stepping in for Paul Dixon today, who is taking a well-deserved holiday. So it's great to have Mark with us throughout the afternoon and on our non-league roundup later today at 5:45 in the NPL East Division. Ashington host Sherwood Colliery, Heaton Stannington away to Bradford Park Avenue, Dunstan on the road away to Cleethorpes Concert. Also away from home today, they are against North Ferriby. In the Scottish Cup first round, Berwick Rangers take on Cooper Hearts today, so good luck to them. In the Women's Championship tomorrow, Durham welcome Birmingham City to Maiden Castle to midday kick-off. Newcastle United, who have made an unbeaten start to the season, face bottom of the table Portsmouth away from home. Portsmouth, like Newcastle, were promoted to the Championship last summer. Here's the Newcastle manager, Becky Langley.
Portsmouth, did really well like us last season and were probably the best team in their division and hence the promotion. But, we take confidence from the League Cup semi-final win at St James's Park against them. And, Jay and his team have done a lot to, keep levelling up in the Championship like us. So we know, again, it's going to be a tough game and we will prepare as thoroughly as we can to ensure that we're pushing for 3 points.
Yes, so Newcastle away to Portsmouth tomorrow, and Sunderland women are at home to London City Lionesses. Kick-off at Eppleton is at 2 o'clock. Let's go to cricket, though, and in the County Championship, Durham against Kent. We haven't had a bull bowled before today, but on day 3 we finally have a play. BBC Radio Newcastle's cricket commentator Martin Emerson is at Chesley Street for us.
Yeah, people complain about playing cricket in September, and generally September's warmer and drier anyway than August is. But last week, lovely weather, no one was complaining about the weather then. 2 days lost this week means that they've now lost 7 entire days this season, Durham, but they have got going today in brilliant sunshine, and they've been making runs while the sun has been shining as well. They're currently 152 for 1. Emilio Gay in his first home game for Durham on 29. Alex Lees is on 97 from 108 balls. He's played really well. Thought he might have got to his 100 before lunch, but he just didn't quite get there. At lunch he was on 95. And these two, well, they've put on a partnership now which is worth 72 runs, and it came together after Ben McKinney was out earlier. A mistimed shot from Nathan Gilchrist and lobbing up a ball to Joey Everson at the covers. He was out for 23 when Durham were 80 for 1, but they're currently 152 for 1. Still plenty of action today, still 69 overs to go because they're bowling 104 overs to try and make up for some lost time here.
Martin, thank you very much. Ball-by-ball commentary is available on your smart speaker and on the BBC Sport website, and that Martin will give us updates throughout the afternoon here on BBC Radio Newcastle. In rugby union, the Newcastle Falcons are away to Harlequins this afternoon, and the Premiership kickoff is at 3. Commentary via the BBC Sport website and app with Dean and Neil Gray. And Dean joins me now. Afternoon, Dean.
Afternoon, Dom. How are you?
Very good. A tough task today.
Yeah, big ask today. They were well beaten last season down here, and the Falcons haven't won a game all of last season, of course, and 6 games from the season before, so they're desperate for the first win. But this is one of the bastions of rugby as we stand here at the Stoop, where my little brother stood next to me, played in his younger youth days, and see Twickenham Stadium. Sorry, we can't call it Twickenham Stadium anymore. It's the Allianz Stadium just to our left. It's a glorious day for open running rugby, and that's the style that Harlequins espouse. So it's going to be a tough ask today after the 40-5 defeat here last season. The Newcastle Falcons will have to be right on the metal to get anything out of this game.
Yeah, there's one change to the lineup today, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Yeah, well, last week it's the same side that should have started last week, but Phil van der Vout had a case of a very, very dicky tummy apparently just before the kick-off, so he was taken out of the squad and replaced. It is the same squad that would have started last week if Phil van der Vout hadn't had that problem. So there's consistency in selection from Steve Diamond, and there were sparks of recovery, I think, in last week's game, but a lot of pressure on the Bristol line that they couldn't convert into points, and Bristol in the end convincing winners 24 points to 3. The Falcons will need to be more incisive in what they do around the park and defend slightly better, especially in the second half, to have any chance in this game at all.
Yeah, Steve Diamond has insisted this week in the media that they are going to be competitive and won't finish bottom of the league again.
Yeah, he said that, and I hope they don't. They're desperate for the first win, and rugby's a game of confidence, you know, Dom, like any other sport. If you get that first win, winning becomes just that little bit easier, but the weight and pressure weighing on the Falcons from not having that Premiership win all of last season, and a large chunk of the season before, is obviously there, and it's so important to get a reasonably quick start, because this block of 6 games, the first 6 games back-to-back, represents a third of the season. And if you end up at the bottom of the table, points adrift, it's tremendously hard to get back into the competition with this truncated season that they've got now.
Absolutely. Well, it would be a big statement to win today. Dean, thank you very much for now. Full match commentary then from 3 o'clock, build up from around 2:40. It'll be on the BBC Sport website and app. Dean and Neil Gray there for us. Just a couple of other quick things then in basketball. In the Super League trophy last night, the Newcastle Eagles beat the Sheffield Sharks 78 points to 73. They're back in action tomorrow against Manchester. Basketball tip-off is at 3 o'clock. In the darts, Callan Ridds has won his second round game against Gian Van Veen 6-4, so he's through to the third round, and Chris Dobie, also from Bedlington, is in action later tonight at around 9:30. The only other thing locally happening this weekend is in the ice hockey. The Whitley Warriors against the Hull Jets face off tomorrow at Hillheads is at 5 o'clock. Time for us here on BBC Radio Newcastle to head back to St James's Park for second half commentary of Newcastle United versus Manchester City in the company of Matthew Racebeck and John Anderson.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport Northeast.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Many clear-cut chances either. Newcastle haven't given Edison a lot to do. At the other end, Pope now might be testing Gvardiol. Low shot into the bottom corner. Joško Gvardiol has put Manchester City into a first half lead. Rolled in, left side of the box, cut inside and slotted it into the bottom of the goal. He's had a bit of a nightmare first half, but he's popped up with the opener at St James's in the 35th minute. Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 1.
Total Sport Northeast.
Matthew Racebeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That's the only goal of the match so far. Newcastle losing to Manchester City after 45 minutes. The away team are out for the second half. Won 12 of their last 13 Premier League away matches, Manchester City. The one they didn't was a draw with Liverpool in March, home or away. The champions just seem to get the job done, but Newcastle with a performance in the first half, and speaking to a few fans
who sit near our commentary position during half-time. They seem pretty happy with the way Newcastle have approached it and played, and they seemingly have a bit more energy, and feel like there has been an improvement to some extent. Are you
it's been
minded
better.
to agree?
Better. Yeah, the energy levels are better than what we've seen in recent games. Getting in and around Manchester City, closing space down. As I say, 1-0 half time. It's still a game that's in the balance.
Here in Newcastle, there are no changes for the second half. Pope in goal, Trippier, Cher, Byrne, Hall, Tonali, Bruno, Joelinton, Murphy, Barnes and Gordon. And Manchester City likewise unchanged. Ederson, Walker, Akanji, Ruben Dias, Gvardiol, Lewis, Kovacic, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Grealish and Haaland. Jared Gillett, the referee. As the second half started. BBC Radio Newcastle, home of every Newcastle United match, exclusively live, also on NUFC TV. Fabian Schär heads away after City play it back and then send it long. Akanji up into the air on the far side. Trippier header, Gordon lay off to Tonali, now Joelinton back to Byrne, clipped over to Schär, and Bruno's got plenty of room in central midfield. He's gone for the diagonal towards Harvey Barnes. They're shooting towards the Leazes end, that's the left as we look. Barnes towards Gordon, played off Gordon by Ruben Dias. The through ball just didn't really have enough pace from Barnes, but Gordon almost made it count.
Yeah, it didn't have enough on it, did it? He chased it down. Diaz just played it off and goal kick.
Newcastle's bench, a reminder: Dubravka, Kraft, Osula, Livramento, Almiron, Kelly, Willock, Longstaff, Alex Murphy. Byrne and Haaland go for the ball. It's gone backwards off Byrne, got the touch but went the wrong way. Man City throw close to where Eddie Howe stands in the technical area. Back to Walker, the Man City captain. Now Ederson, well outside of his area, foot on the ball, closed down by Murphy. They tease you, don't they? They make you, suck you in, and then Ederson, especially when he comes into those positions, and then just plays it around. It's back in his box and has the ball at his feet after they went up to halfway and then back. Manchester City played 2 minutes in the second half. Ederson into midfield to Gundogan. Gvardiol into space, but there's nobody there in sky blue. Trippier keeps it in, chased by Grealish, back to Pope. Oh, looking for Bruno. Free kick.
Oh, got lucky.
Gundogan adjudged to have fouled Bruno. Newcastle really needed that decision, because otherwise City would have been in one-on-one with Pope.
Yeah, I mean, and then they take it from the wrong place. It was a dangerous ball to play.
Fabian Schär inside to Byrne in the D, over to Hall, closed down by Bernardo Silva. He finds Bruno, takes it, holds off Lewis, onto Tonali. Ball forward by Tonali, too short, couldn't get Gordon in the game. Now Bruno's won it back, and a couple of challenges. Haaland involved, Joelinton, Tonali. Newcastle have it through the Italian. Murphy then beaten to the ball by City. Trippier makes a challenge, competitive stuff, but Manchester City are on the attack on the near side with possession now. Bernardo Silva into Kovacic, the Croatian former Chelsea midfielder. Came on for Rodri, Kovacic, last weekend after Rodri went off injured, and has been given that role today. He's on it now. Newcastle have managed to reset, get everybody behind the ball. Kovacic to Bernardo Silva, attempting to take on Lewis Hall, back inside to Kovacic, centre of the United half, stabbed away by Tonali, but he couldn't get it to another black and white shirt. Ruben Dias on the move towards the penalty box. Grealish
Again comes in off the left wing. Akanji, ball across the 18-yard area to Bernardo Silva, digs out across. Tonali comes over to head it away and out for a throw next to the corner flag. It's a dangerous ball in. Tonali had to intervene.
Yeah, there was no real pace on it though, was it? It was just a dink little ball in. Tonali's read the situation, got himself across. Good header.
They find Bernardo Silva from the throw. He's got it back in the box. Joelinton and now Hall come away with it for Newcastle. Hall turns and clears. Gordon can't bring it down. Ruben Diaz deals with it. And back it goes to Ederson. They've pushed up Newcastle towards halfway. 1-0 down. And Ederson's clip over to the near side to Bernardo Silva. Lewis Hall getting tight to him. Back to Ruben Diaz, inside towards the goalkeeper, away from Gordon. Bruno trying to close down Kovacic. And then now the space, because Newcastle had pushed up. Lewis Hall was in the centre and Bernardo Silva's got it and leads the Man City attack. Looks for Gundogan, it hit him and it's come back to United. And Fabian Schär, Gordon wants it, gets it in the centre circle, lays it off to Trippier. Schär's now gone to centre forward, he stayed in the attack. Trippier, they slowed it down, Newcastle, but kept possession. And now Manchester City get bodies back. Bruno makes a run into the corner on the right, sends over the cross. Schär couldn't really connect with the header. Barnes in the box, down under a challenge. Hopeful appeals from supporters. Eddie Howe asks the question. The referee says no. Gordon down off the ball, collided with Rico Lewis, I think, who's
just slipped, didn't he?
Manchester City move it from right to left in the Newcastle half.
I'll tell you what, thankfully Gundogan's having one of them days, because they were in, weren't they? It was meant for Grealish, he got in the way of it.
Here is Jack Grealish, flicked back to him by Rico Lewis. Grealish might hit it edge of the area. Disguises the pass, slips it through for Haaland. Tonali's gone down. Man City are playing on. Hall makes a challenge, so does Joelinton. Then Haaland gives it the hammer, and it's behind for a corner off Joelinton. Newcastle are unhappy with the referee, and Tonali has stayed down. Akanji of Manchester City is checking on him. Jared Gill is just telling everybody to wait. Now, how did Tonali go down? What happened?
Don't know.
Collision off the ball, but I don't.
It didn't look a great deal in that.
Referee still telling players to wait. It's going to be a corner for Manchester City. Jared Gillett with the chant of "You're not fit to referee." I'm not quite sure what he's trying to sort out. Now, was it?
It was Grealish and Tonali came together, but they just seemed to run into each other.
He's talking to players for both teams. There's no further action. And the whistle for the Manchester City corner. Gundogan, outswinger, flat, and Tonali heads it clear. It's a throw.
They just seemed to run into each other. Tonali went down.
Throw from Walker into the penalty area. Hall up and away. Joelinton and Barnes going for it, maybe getting in each other's way. Barnes to Bruno. Hall lifts it towards the halfway line now, up this near side. Ruben Diaz on. Hall on his chest and away from Rico Lewis. Done well under pressure, Lewis Hall. Gordon, it's hit his knee and come back to Manchester City. Now Akanji forward to Schär and Gordon to chase after this. Has he got the pace to get there first? Akanji,
quick, and he
did well, did very well, and plays it forwards, having won the ball, won the race with Gordon. Trippier Grealish goes down over the challenge. Trippier saying he didn't touch him. In fact, he's saying he got the ball, never mind not touching him. Jack Grealish is having a chuckle to himself. Did he get the ball?
No, got nowhere near the ball. It's one of them, it's soft, but in the modern game,
just next to the halfway line. 55th minute on BBC Radio Newcastle. Man City play it short, and now they're back with a goalkeeper. Newcastle 1-0 down. Eddie Howe has sent Miguel Almiron up the touchline to warm up, followed by Joe Willock. Ederson to Haaland on halfway. Back to Guardiola. Grealish, heavy touch. Share up the line. Inside from Trippier to Murphy. Back to Tonali. He's beaten a couple of players and won a throw. Trippier with a quick one on the angle to Gordon. Didn't control it, but Tonali's got it back for Newcastle. And he's won another throw. Let's see more of Tonali, don't we? Here's Bruno. Back to Burn. Joe Linton short. He's got a man on. Forward to Bruno. Now he could slip it through and does. Anthony Gordon away. Gordon against Ederson. Round the keeper and down. Penalty. Penalty Newcastle United. Gordon taken down by Ederson, who has been yellow carded by Jared Gillett. He got into the box, took it to the goalkeeper's right and hit the deck as the challenge came in. Jared Gillett says penalty and Ederson has been booked. And they have the chance now from 12 yards to equalise. Looked like he was just going to go around and skip past the keeper and slot it in, but he was brought down. They're just checking for an offside, but it looks okay. You happy with that decision?
Yeah. Yeah. But he's just knocked it by him. Gordon does what all good forwards do. He waits for the goalkeeper to come and he just falls over him. And it's always going to be a penalty kick, isn't it?
The question is, who takes it? Anthony Gordon has taken penalties for Newcastle when there's been no Wilson and Isak. There might be others who fancy a bit of this. Jacob Murphy picked up the ball. You know what they do. Often the person who isn't taking the penalty grabs the ball. Bruno's had it and he's given it to Gordon, who waits at the back of the box at the Leazer's end as Ederson has a drink. Adjusts the position of his towel next to the post and now walks onto the goal line. It was an on-field decision by referee Jared Gillett, confirmed by VAR Stuart Atwell. The penalty for Newcastle United. Gordon taken down by Ederson. They come face to face again. Now with Gordon, the ball on the spot to bring them level against the champions and Premier League leaders. Anthony Gordon with a right-footed penalty has scored, and he has sent Ederson the wrong way. Gordon lashes it into the bottom left corner of the net, and it's Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1.
It's a quality penalty. He just waits for the keeper to move. Goalkeeper goes one way, ball goes the other. Game on.
Celebrate in the corner, Gordon with clenched fists and acknowledges the crowd who gave him a very warm welcome today with the pre-match flag display at the Leazer's end and in the East Stand. And his response is to put away a penalty in the 58th minute to level the scores at St James's, his second of the season after the goal that he scored at Bournemouth. 1-1. Gordon, the last player to return to the Newcastle half as Gundogan kicks off, back to Ederson, and back level and game on. on BBC Radio Newcastle. Here's Trippier, stabbed up towards Gordon, away by Akanji. Grealish in space. Closed down now by Trippier and Murphy. Kovacic, edge of the area, goes for the shot, misses the target. Eddie Howe applauds his players for the way they defended that situation. That's the difference a goal makes.
Goals change games.
Share up to Gordon, leaves it for Murphy. Played back, Tonali's kept it in on the line. Tonali back to him from Gordon. Free kick. Is there going to be a yellow card? There is. Mateo Kovacic, booked by Jared Gillett. And City have a midfield player on a yellow card now, just like Newcastle do with Bruno. It's 1-1. Share also cautioned in the first half, so with Ederson booked for the foul for the penalty, it's 2 yellow cards apiece, 1 goal apiece. Kieran Trippier with the free kick, on by Share, Gordon, Joelinton in the area, Joelinton's gone down, nothing given. Well, they appeal Newcastle, maybe more just through hope than anything else. Now they've won the ball back through Share and Murphy. And Tonali back to Murphy, and Tonali again, good play. Barnes, keeper comes out, Barnes denied by Ederson. He was trying to dink it to Gordon, I think, in the middle rather than shooting. Oh, they're having a really good spell. And the crowd are involved in the game. They're still on the attack with Bruno. Wide to Trippier, far side of the pitch. Gordon, corner of the box. Finding Trippier again, on for Tonali, sends over the cross. Oh, he's just really blood. Yeah, really overhit that one, unfortunately, but good play, and Barnes got in, but the angle was so tight that Ederson was out quickly.
Has Tonali been booked? Somebody's been booked.
I'm not sure.
Is it Tonali that's been booked?
Yeah, it might have been, because he's had it, with Grealish. Both had a bit of a go at each other. It was a running battle. To be fair, Grealish has done no worse than Tonali. I don't know if they both got yellow carded. We'll get that confirmed, or we'll try to. But Jared Gillett has been busy again there. It's 1-1. Now restarts play with a goal kick after the Tonali cross went out. Header from Trippier, Murphy's onto this one, trying to help it through in behind the Manchester City defenders. Back from Ruben Dias, Ederson away, Haaland and Byrne, and it's a good battle. It's come for Tonali, and Bruno away from Grealish, on by Bruno, Gordon getting after it, Akanji out of play. Joelinton, round the corner for Bruno. Not sure he got a call of man on. He's had his pocket pinched by Gundogan. Joelinton's going to get booked now for the tackle on Haaland to stop the counter-attack in the centre circle.
Can't keep doing it and expect to get away with it.
One apiece. 64th minute. So if Tonali got booked there, then that's all 3 Newcastle midfielders who've had their name taken.
I've just seen him produce a yellow card. Yeah. It looked like it was Tonali, I'm not sure.
Because Tonali and Grealish were going at it, but Trippier now heads back, the ball to Pope for a free kick, kicked into the box. We don't have access to too much extra information. It's obviously important if another yellow card is shown, but we assume Tonali was booked. No one's told us differently. Now Gordon on the chase, Barnes on the near side, can he find him in the middle? Gordon's cross, Harvey Barnes on the stretch.
was always going to be difficult, wasn't it?
Couldn't connect with the ball
wasn't right either.
Couldn't connect with the cross from Gordon from right to left. He was wide of the post as well, Barnes. But it was about all that Gordon could do, wasn't it? Dan Burn makes a challenge, successful one on Haaland. Phil Foden is about to come on. He's not had much football this season, Foden. Tonali wins the ball back from Kovacic. Jacob Murphy on the attack. Gordon leaves it for Barnes, left corner of the area. Walker behind him, back inside for Gordon. And Manchester City get bodies in the way, but Newcastle still have it. Joe Linton over to Cher. Kieran Trippier up the line, that's where it goes. Murphy in the box, Trippier's ball finds him. Murphy across the 6-yard box, nobody there. Nobody made the move. Lewis Hall's won it back though. Hall into the area, hangs up the cross, taken away from Murphy by Gvardiol. Vital header from Gvardiol. Now Jack Grealish has won a free kick off Kieran Trippier, who says again to the referee that he didn't touch it. And Eddie Howe has put his arm around the assistant referee and is complaining. Trippier furious with Grealish. But what about that attack from Newcastle? Ball into the 6-yard box, there was nobody there.
No.
And then Hall very nearly picked out Murphy as it was recycled.
Yeah, good defending at the back post, but two balls flash across goal. That's what happens when you haven't got an instinctive centre forward though, isn't it?
Just want someone there just to apply a finishing touch, don't you? But the spell since the equaliser, John Anderson, has been
very good,
really good, hasn't it?
It's been excellent.
Arguably their best of the season, especially considering the quality of the opposition. 1-1 at St James's Park on BBC Radio Newcastle. Foden on for Gundogan.
Yeah, no surprise. Gundogan, like him, good player. He's been poor today though.
Joe Willock among the Newcastle players warming up. But Eddie Howe not seemingly thinking about a change just yet. There's no other activity on the bench. 67th minute. At 2 o'clock we'll get team news from Sunderland's match away at Watford from BBC Radio Newcastle's Nick Barnes. Commentary on Sunderland from 3. Walker, Joe Linton has got good awareness. New Haaland was behind it, but also the ball was running out of play. And Lewis Hall with a throw. Level with the edge of Newcastle's box. He's given it to Joe Linton. Played up the line against Bernardo Silva. Joe Linton's come away with it after another challenge. Barnes dinks it forwards, but out it goes on halfway. Referee tells Kyle Walker to get back to halfway and take the throw from the correct position. You know the new Premier League Twitter account that explains the VAR related decisions this season? They've put on an explanation for something, but the giant screen at the Leazes end is damaged and part of it isn't working, so couldn't read what the message said, but I think it was about the penalty and the yellow card. Now Foden slips. Joe Linton wins it back in the corner, and Bruno up to Gordon, takes a touch, almost collided with the referee. Fabian Schär away into the Man City half, and it's collected by Gvardiol. Or it could have been about that Grealish and Tonali incident. Tonali winning it back there in midfield, got a bit of a kick. Play on, Newcastle forwards, but they've lost possession in midfield. Rico Lewis with number 82 on his back, the youngster. Kovacic away to the left side in the Newcastle half. And past the midway point in the second half now, 1-1. Manuel Akanji. Swiss centre half. To Grealish, back to Kovacic and Ruben Diaz. All the black and white shirts are behind the ball again. Ruben Diaz to Kyle Walker. Back inside to the Portuguese defender. He's lost it almost to Murphy. Challenge for it with Vardiol. It's come back to a sky blue shirt now. Grealish. Goal kick. Trippier off Grealish and behind. Tried to go on the outside that time for the first time in the game.
Yeah. No complaints from Grealish. Good defending, Trippier. Just kept his eye on the ball.
Longstaff and Willock have come back to the bench. Eddie Howe talks to Jason Tyndall. A scratch of the head from Howe as Nick Pope places the ball on the 6-yard line and passes it to the right to Fabian Schär. Kieran Trippier up the touchline to Jacob Murphy. Heavy touch from Murphy, but he's got it inside to Bruno. On towards Gordon, who might be able to chase after this. And it's not great defending by Manchester City. They've just about got away with it. They left it. Gordon
left it for each other.
Yeah, almost ran onto it, and then the eventual pass from Ruben Diaz very nearly went out of play. It went backwards, and it was kept in by Guardiol. Back to Ederson. Into the box, Haaland coming. Pope has cleaned him out, but he's got rid of the ball. Well, that is effective goalkeeping by Nick Pope, but that was a bit dicey. Grealish now miscontrolling, and it's out for a throw.
Good goalkeeping. He was decisive, wasn't he? Came, made sure he was getting there.
Bruno in the centre of midfield, trying to get it in behind for Murphy. It took a deflection, the pass looped up, and Guardiol headed it away. 71 minutes on the clock. Sunderland team news coming soon. Bernardo Silva. Gundogan's gone off, hasn't he? Although you rather wish he'd stayed on. The way that he was struggling to get in the game. Foden, his replacement, scoops it back to Akanji, and they are 30 yards from Newcastle's goal, but black and white walls in the way. So they come from left of centre to right wing. Bernardo Silva back into the middle to Kovacic, dragged back and then passed forwards to Bernardo Silva once again. Walker for City, one apiece on BBC Radio Newcastle. Ruben Diaz. I think they need one misplaced pass, one break and a quick ball forward. Maybe they could get Gordon away. City on the edge of the Newcastle box. Akanji into the middle. Joelinton header. It's come down to Haaland. He's found Foden straight at Pope. And Nick Pope gathers at the second attempt from the Phil Foden shot.
Oh, what a chance that is. When it falls to him, you expect to see the net bust, don't you?
Let's get team news from Watford ahead of Sunderland's match from Nick Barnes.
Yes, one change as expected. Wilson Isidore in for Eliza Mienda. Mepham continues in the half of defence. There's no Ballard either in the starting 11 or on the bench. On the bench, incidentally, is Tommy Watson, Zach Johnson, Harrison Jones, and Jan Paveda is back in the fold, as well as Abdullah Bar.
Thanks very much, Barnesy. Missed no action at St James's Park, really. Manchester City have got it back, but Newcastle defending on the edge of the area as Gvardiol goes on a run and Pope claims the cross at the near post. It's 1-1 at St James's Park, and on BBC Radio Newcastle commentary at 3, Watford versus Sunderland. Build up with Nick Barnes and Gary Bennett after this match finishes, probably from around 2:30. This is Bruno Guimaraes on the right, deep in midfield. Joe Willock's going to come on for United. And they might be making that change.
It'll be Tonali, won't it? He's got his socks down around his ankles.
Fourth official's got the numbers board ready, but Eddie Howe is still talking to Joe Willock. I think it could be a double change. I think Sean Longstaff's going to come on as well. But they've got to throw Newcastle, and more information is being given to the fourth official. They've got the ball back in play, United. Murphy heading it on from Cher's pass up the pitch. Offside. Gordon's offside. Joe Willock ready, and so is Sean Longstaff. Final instructions for them from Eddie Howe. Foden for Man City skips away and around Murphy and receives it from Gvardiol. Now Kovacic, centre of Newcastle's half. Ruben Diaz up from the heart of defence, clips it wide left to Grealish, taken down nicely by England international. Flat cross away by Cher. Ruben Diaz heads on, Trippier forwards with a header, and now Kovacic has got it. Haaland just inside the area trying to find room for the shot. He did, but it was blocked by Lewis Hall. And now Bernardo Silva back to Kyle Walker and Manchester City. Without Rodri, without De Bruyne, but so many big names, big stars out there, having a big spell of possession at the moment on the edge of Newcastle's penalty area with 15 minutes to play. Almiron out to warm up, 1-1 the score. Kovacic into the box, Rico Lewis, Dan Burn intercepts and brings it away, and now needs to get it clear and does, but they're so deep, Newcastle. Barnes chases.
No outlet because they've got so many people behind the ball.
And where was Barnes? 30 yards in front of his own goal, and it's a spell where they need to concentrate. Having had a good run before, after the equaliser, Newcastle with a couple of moments, a couple of crosses into the box that were dangerous. They're now very much defending, and in that mode. Headed away from Akanji's cross. It's come back to Grealish, and Haaland back stick.
Wasn't easy.
Got underneath it.
Yeah, it was a lashed cross, wasn't it?
Harvey Barnes replaced by Joe Willock in the first of Newcastle's two changes. So he doesn't get a fourth goal in as many games, Barnes. His third start of the season in the Premier League. He is replaced by Joe Willock, and as you expected, Ando Sean Longstaff comes on for Sandro Tonali, who's got a case of cramp at the moment, so can't actually get up, never mind get off the pitch. They've also got Kieran Trippier down with cramp. Dan Burns waving to the bench. They might need to get somebody on to have a look at Sandro Tonali. Might be Trippier, because Tino Livramento is going to come on in a third Newcastle change. 13 to play on BBC Radio Newcastle. Livramento ready as well. Gets a pat on the back and then a hug from Eddie Howe. Don't think Kieran Trippier is going to be able to continue. Tonali's up and applauded by the fans at the Gallagher end as he makes his way behind the goal and around the pitch. But Kieran Trippier can't continue. Looks like he might have a knock. It could be cramp, but they've taken him off as well, haven't they?
Yeah, he seems to be walking all right, so you think it may well be cramp. They both got cramp. I think Tonali's been excellent second half. Felt his way into the game first half. Second half he's been exceptional.
Standing ovation for Tonali, who's heading up the touchline towards the bench now, followed by Trippier. Pope with a goal kick with 12 minutes to go. How do you feel the game is balanced at the minute, John Anderson?
Oh, you feel it could still go either way. It's been a good game. It hasn't had the excitement of previous games, but it's been an intriguing game. It's been the way that both teams have set up. I mean, we've just given City no room to go and play in. It's been two banks of four.
Willock pressing, closing down Walker, up the right wing to Bernardo Silva, back it goes to Kyle Walker in his own half, and it goes all the way back to Ederson. Ederson, oh, not the best ball. There was a challenge on Kovacic from behind, which almost allowed Newcastle to nip in and steal, but they got away with it. Then Livramento has fouled Vardiol in the City half. It's ahead of halfway from the Newcastle perspective. It's going to be a change from the visitors from Pep Guardiola in a moment. The way that they're lined up at the following the changes, Longstaff right side of central midfield.
Yeah, Willock's come to this left side, just a straight swap with Barnes, wasn't it?
So they kept Joe Linton in midfield.
Yeah.
And obviously Livramento replacing Trippier like for like at right full-back. Ederson, long, big kick, Burn, nice, took his time, had a look, cushioned header down to Hall, Joe Linton in midfield. Livramento was the option maybe, but they go back to Cher, now look for Livramento. Vardiol's headers come to Murphy, onto Livramento eventually, good feet as he comes inside, and then Bruno up the line. Jacob Murphy's got space, 3 in the middle, Murphy for Longstaff, just wide. Sean Longstaff, first time effort with his right from Murphy's pullback, drags it across goal and wide of Ederson's right hand post.
Oh, good build up, wasn't it? Great pick out as well, good little pullback. He's done everything right, Longstaff, but he's hit it with his instep, so it's always going away from goal. It's always dragging away from that right hand post.
It's a good chance, and they've not had many of them in the game, Newcastle. Longstaff wide of the target shortly after coming on. Here are the Man City changes, there's 2. Jack Grealish getting some stick, being called a diver by a couple of the fans next to us.
Good players only, I keep telling you this, good players only get booed.
Grealish replaced by Jeremy Doku. The other change is Rico Lewis replaced by Savinho, the Brazilian international midfielder, who they signed this summer from Troyes, 31 million, French club, also part of the City football group with Manchester City. And last season Savinho was on loan to Girona, who are also in the City football group, so familiarity when it came to that transfer. But he's done well, Savinho, for them so far. He's gone to the right and Bernardo Silva's gone more into a central position, and Doku for Grealish, straight swap on the left. 1-1, Willock. They want to foul. Bruno's got away here and then come back and played it to Hall. Good ball inside for Gordon, takes it around his man. Gordon for Newcastle with Willock ahead, on towards Joe Willock, but Akanji back to the keeper, and the gasp was because Murphy was closing down but he couldn't get there. Now Joe Linton's dallied in midfield and Bernardo Silva onto it, and Haaland wide of goal in the box. Haaland back to Doku, couldn't really control but now gets it at the second attempt. Vardiol over to Walker. Newcastle got to watch here. 83rd minute, 1-1, City on the attack. Walker has a touch, sticks in the cross, Livramento, and then Longstaff. Longstaff's clearance has come straight back to Savinho, and he's beaten Hall in the challenge, and then found Bernardo Silva. Hall makes the block, and Hall's been fouled. Good recovery by Lewis Hall, having lost out during that piece of play, and a very useful free kick to win. But danger as Joe Linton got caught in midfield.
Yeah, just wanted too much time, didn't he? Had his pocket pinched, unaware of people around him, what's happening around him. Got to be quicker.
3 o'clock in the Premier League. Arsenal, Leicester, Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea against Brighton, Everton host Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest still unbeaten, have got Fulham. Newcastle would move up a place with a point here. It's 1-1 still. Willock trying to get the better of Walker, but as we discussed earlier, that doesn't really happen very often. And Ederson with another heart-in-mouth moment, went back to him, not the best clearance under pressure. Doku trying to get away from Livramento. Shares flicked it when maybe he should have just got rid. And now Bruno chasing Foden. Corner on the left for Manchester City. Bruno with the foul.
He's got hold of his shirt. I don't know what he's complaining about. You can see it from here.
Now is Bruno going to get into trouble? Is there going to be a second yellow? Hang on, the referee's gone over to have a word with him. Unfortunately, he's reaching for his spray rather than a card.
But he's got hold of his shirt. You can see him pulling the shirt off his back. You're not allowed to do that.
6 minutes of normal time remaining. Cher should have just got rid, shouldn't he? Yeah. And then that would have prevented this.
Trying to be too clever.
They did have players nearby. He was trying to find one of them with a little flick through his legs. Anyway, this is probably 10 yards out on the left. A couple of yards in from the touchline. Foden's free kick for Manchester City. Bernardo Silva free round the back. Has it on the floor. Hall with him. Hall deflects the cross and then wide from Kovacic. That'll do for Newcastle, who get a goal kick. Jason Tindall and Eddie Howe deep in conversation. Pep Guardiola rubbing his head. Now claps his hands and offers some encouragement to his team. Liverpool, who are second at the start of today, have got Wolves at 5:30. So they and others, mentioned Arsenal, got Leicester looking to capitalise if Newcastle can get something here. But Manchester City looking the more threatening at the moment, and Savinho on a run. Joelinton wins the ball back from him. No complaints from Savinho. Strong play from Joelinton, and Newcastle needed him to get that right. He did. He's got it now in midfield, holding off Bernardo Silva. That's good. That's where he
should hold him on. He's only 7 stone wet through.
Yeah. Sometimes he worries you, Joelinton, but not there. Cher goes for the diagonal. Willock the target. Gordon close by. Willock gets his head to the ball, but it's gone out. It's a Man City throw, though. Near to their
Why are all their players going down with cramp?
Well, I think they've had a more intense week of training, haven't they?
He still shouldn't be down with cramp.
It's Joelinton this time. Doesn't need any treatment. He's back up. We're in the 87th minute, 1-1. Gordon with a penalty to equalise for Newcastle United. He was brought down by Ederson, who was yellow carded. He stuck the spot kick away, sending the keeper the wrong way. That was in 58th minute. Joško Gvardiol opened the scoring for Manchester City in the 35th minute. Walker, big diagonal ball. Livramento header down for Murphy. Back to Cher, and a space on the right side, and it's Jacob Murphy. Gordon in the middle, Bruno with him. Murphy's ball hits the defender, doesn't reach either Bruno or Gordon. And Bernardo Silva has been tripped by Gordon as he brought it away. And although Newcastle win it back, it was because of the foul. Jared Gillett's blown for a free kick. Diaz coming towards the centre circle. Akanji for Jeremy Doku, Belgian international, scored early against Watford on Tuesday in the 5th minute. Doku brought on as a sub today. He's found Kovacic and now Bernardo Silva. It's BBC Radio Newcastle. Akanji into the area. Cher's made a block, chased his own clearance, but Akanji was first to the ball. Cher then retreats. He's back in his starting position. And Newcastle without the ball. And everyone within 30 yards of Nick Pope's goal. They're holding Manchester City at 1-1. Livramento pushes the ball away from Doku, but the little winger goes and retrieves it. Longstaff now with a challenge. That's good from Longstaff. Cher to Murphy. Gordon on his bike. Murphy skips past his man. Willock on the left side. Jacob Murphy on the break. It's exciting play from Murphy. He's still got it. Joelinton edge of the area. Savinho comes in and makes the challenge.
He's just so unaware of people around him. It's unbelievable.
Now Byrne and Pope communicate, and Byrne passes it to Cher under a bit of pressure. Livramento might have to go back to the keeper. He does. Closed down by Savinho. Murphy, I mean, look, he beat his man. Could have played it early, kept going. He had 3 options. And it was...
his awareness of people around him and what's happening just isn't there.
Joelinton just thought he had more time than he did. It's with City again. Newcastle threat is on the break because it's Manchester City playing the game in the United half. Doku with a burst of pace away from Livramento. Share, a minute to play of the 90 to Longstaff. Oh, he's given it straight back to Gvardiol. He was just caught in two minds. Now Byrne away and Livramento tackled by Foden. Gvardiol to Bernardo Silva. It's away from Walker, but he's got there and helped it on to Savinio. Joelinton, good awareness that time to win it, and now Gordon, and Gordon taken down by Ruben Dias, who gets yellow carded, and it gives Newcastle a breather. He only had Willock for support. Willock would have been through if they could have found him, but they'll, I think, happily take the free kick with just a couple of seconds until the numbers board is presented to St James's Park. What will be on it from Rob Jones? Here it comes. 7. VAR check for the goal. Substitutions, but 7. Oh, okay. 1-1. At St James's Park. In the 7 minutes, will there be any more goals? Will Newcastle be able to go and nick it? We've got Sunderland away at Watford coming up at 3 after this. Hall with the free kick, header on by Cher, but nobody in black and white there. Gvardiol's taken a touch, and then his clearance has hit Byrne and gone out. Well, it's going to keep Manchester City initially, at least at that end of the field. Gordon with a couple of challenges. Akanji away. Cher, an uncontested header from Cher on towards Longstaff in midfield. Joelinton now on his chest and tackled as he brought it down by Bernardo Silva. He's got to be careful, he's been booked. And Haaland dropped in to Foden. Foden in behind for Doku, sent him wide though. We've got plenty of defenders back. Joelinton heads clear, making amends after losing the ball in the first instance.
You shouldn't lose it in the first place.
It's getting nervy now. Second minute of the 7. 1-1. Savinio on the near side. Hall and Willock to take on. Back to Walker. Forward straight back to Savinio. Foden in the D. Looking for Bernardo Silva. Nick Pope. What a save. One-handed, heading towards the top corner. Pope has pushed it round the post.
Oh, I'm pleased that was on his right side. What a save that is. Strong arm. Boom.
It might have been more central than it initially looked from our angle, but Nick Pope, one-handed save, strong hand to push it away and keep it at 1-1. Corner on the left. Outswinger from Foden, headed away, it's flat. Livramento, Gordon then to Bruno, says he was caught. Cher then wins a header. Gordon chases after the ball, heads it past Doku, and no foul, says Jared Gillett. Eddie Howe, hands on his head, can't believe it. Play on with Manchester City, still on the attack. Gordon then tackles Doku and wins a goal kick. He went in hard there, maybe got out all of his frustration. Gets high-fived by Murphy and by Captain Bruno, and I think they want Osula or Almiron, maybe both. There might be more changes here in added on time with the score at 1-1 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Which way is this one going, Ando?
Wouldn't like to call it, still wouldn't like to call it.
Pope with height on his goal kick, it just about reaches halfway. Joelinton on his thigh, and then out by Bruno. Oh, what's the problem? Referee wants a word with someone. Is the ball flat? I think the ball's flat, isn't it? Or is it not?
No, it's not flat. What's that about?
It's going to give a drop ball to Newcastle, to Dan Byrne.
What? Don't get that. Don't understand that.
Don't know what happened there, but back to Pope it goes. Gordon backing into Ruben Diaz. Joelinton's come onto it on the near side and just using his size, but it's gone out. He got the last touch. It's a City ball. Can't see anything happening on the bench yet with the potential last couple of changes. Walker takes the throw from the wrong position. Fans upset about that. Lewis Hall's won it back though, and Lewis Hall, he came inside and then played a reverse ball, but straight to a sky blue Man City shirt. We've played 4 minutes, more than 4 minutes of the 7 that were signalled. 1-1. Newcastle, there's tension in the air at St James's Park. Could be getting a point at least from Manchester City, who are on the attack though with Foden, who dances away from a couple of challenges. There's then a block and it comes to Kovacic. Savinho, right corner of the penalty area, heading for the goal line, hangs up the cross. Haaland straight at Pope. Haaland's header caught by Nick Pope.
Yeah, comfortable, wasn't it? Generated no power. Comfortable save for the keeper.
Haaland standing next to Pope as he kicks out of his hands, side on, edge of the area. Willock trying to chase after it. Gordon then follows the ball back into goalkeeper Ederson. Akanji. Gordon's gone down. Has he twisted his ankle? Gordon's gone down all alone at the edge of the box. It's his lower left leg. He's picked himself up. I think he just slipped, didn't he? Back up with a bit of a limp, Anthony Gordon. Willock making a challenge on halfway. Bruno is caught late. Bernardo Silva. Referee says play on. We've got just over a minute of the 7 remaining. 1-1. They're having to defend again, Newcastle. Ruben Diaz to Bernardo Silva, the little Portuguese midfielder. Back to Walker, and Savinho, who's been lively since coming on, heads for the line again, wins a corner off Hall. Gordon's got back in to defend and seems to be okay. You want to make a late change, Newcastle, by the looks of things. The corner kick will be taken first. We're into the 7th minute now, and it's a left-footed corner. Dan Burn, big header away into midfield, where Kovacic puts it forwards to Foden, and Foden's floated ball is caught by Nick